Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Sweet Talks. I'm your host, Pulse. And today we have with us Kay, founder of SugarClub. Hi, Kay. How's it going? How are you doing?
I'm well, thanks.
Thank you so much for
Be
taking the time
here.
to be here. It's a
Yes,
pleasure. Maybe you can just take the time to give a little background of who you are and what you do.
sure. So, I'm the founder of SugarClub, this virtual club based in Decentraland and CryptoVoxels. And we've been going at it for, well, I think since 2000, end of 2019. This was when we first kind of deployed the club in Decentraland, testing it. And so we've been kind of continuing the project, and it grew to being a kind of successful virtual club now in Decentraland. We have weekly parties, we curate NFT shows, we design wearables, anything that has to do kind of with the metaverse creation, digital content.
Right. And how
Um,
did you get into that? Did you have like a club in the physical world before you started the digital one, or?
no, not at all. I mean, actually, my background is in performing arts.
Oh, okay.
And in contemporary dance, I was a professional dancer for many, many years.
Oh, wow.
So nothing to do with really digital creation or anything with online branding or marketing. I just kind of stumbled into it, I have to say. In 2017, I discovered crypto with Ethereum and then the Ethereum ecosystem. And so it's just one thing led to another. There was the ICO of Decentraland was in 2017 in the summer, I believe, and I immediately became interested in it because uh, they were advertising a 3D metaverse world, and I like gaming. I like I like to game on my free time, and I grew up with gaming and stuff. So I was like, oh, this is interesting, crypto, blockchain, gaming. So I got involved with the project around then, and since then I just stayed with it. I just kind of followed the development of the Decentraland platform and grew with it, let's say.
So
So
how
my
have you
background
seen?
has almost nothing to do with what I'm doing now, but there is kind of connections definitely in terms of like how I see things or my aesthetics and how I like to lead the project and curate artists within Sugar Club.
Right. And
There's definitely.
so how have you seen the evolution of the actual site, and how did that impact what it is that you can do with Sugar Club? I'm sure that played a big role.
Yeah, there was. It's been, very interesting in the beginning. I mean, the first year of Decentraland launching, we didn't have the platform was not live yet. The 3D environment was not live. So what they had was a marketplace, and you could already buy and sell, trade land. These virtual plots of land. You could trade them, but you didn't know what it represented. There was the gaming environment was not developed yet, so it was
Okay.
very speculative in the beginning. I also was playing around with trading land at the time, and became very clear that I wanted to create something. So as soon as they developed the SDK, to start developing, I started to play with it. I did some of the first hackathons, where you could propose, a project or something. So those were the first iterations of the club. I had somebody helping me with the 3D environment in the beginning. I was just kind of directing it. And so we deployed, I think in 2019 was the first time we deployed the club and started to kind of test how it works. It was very basic in the beginning,
Mm.
and I had a lot of help. Since then, I learned how to do it myself, at least for the 3D creation part.
Okay.
In part because I had limited budget and it was expensive to just constantly ask a 3D guy to make everything for me, especially because I'm really specific about my aesthetics. So I was asking him to change things constantly. So I started to work with Blender and just kind of learn the softwares myself and see how it works. How can I create 3D models? How do I texture them? How do I create interactivity in the club, and so on and so forth. So it's been quite a learning curve, but I feel now after 2000 and about 3 years of doing this, that I'm starting to get a grip of it, and we have a good community around the events.
Right.
So
Okay.
it's going well.
Nice. And I guess, with the technology and the evolution of that changing and what's happened with the pandemic, I guess it kind of helped in a way to escalate things or to bring you a bigger audience. Am I correct in that?
Yeah, definitely. I think it was an interesting time because 2020, with Corona, everything changed. I was working in another field besides dance. I was working in the healthcare as well. My wife is an acupuncturist, so a lot of things changed, and that was a big transition for me because I was getting less work in real life and getting more and more involved in the digital. And then I saw an opportunity. I saw that there was a hole in the market. I mean, in 2020, Decentraland just launched. Sandbox was very new also. You had the CryptoVoxels, which was also still very much a small community. So there was opportunities to really grow a community and create a project in the metaverse.
Right.
And I've seen an explosion. I mean, even for me, in terms of the amount of traction and the interest in the metaverse in the last 2 years, it's been exponential, almost hard to believe.
Yeah.
It's hard to keep up. I mean, in the beginning, we were a tiny community, even within the NFT community. I remember the first few months of Wearable, the NFT platform, and we were just a bunch of creators making NFTs.
Right.
And now it exploded to become a global phenomenon. So it's a completely different market as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, even me, like I still consider myself a newbie in the Web3 arena, but I've been here for like 6 months to a year, and already I've seen exponential growth that I didn't even expect. Right, I've seen things in the past 6 months that I didn't think I was going to see for like 10 years, maybe.
I was the
So
same. I felt like this was an interesting technology. I was excited to be a part of it. In the like early days. It's not so long ago, but I thought it would take longer to become sort of mainstream and to have all these celebrities jumping on board and all the media, that the frenzy that happened last year with it. This
right.
was unexpected. I really didn't expect this to happen like this.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people did expect it, to be honest, and we're still experiencing, new things every day.
Yeah.
I just want to touch on something you said before about the CryptoVoxels. So you started off at Decentraland and then you decided to do another one in CryptoVoxels?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
So I was aware of CryptoVoxels in parallel with the development of Decentraland. And actually, CryptoVoxels was there was already early access to the 3D environments in CryptoVoxels. The team was smaller and they deployed their metaverse earlier. So there was already an active community of people, in the 3D environment, making events, opening up galleries, and so on. Uh, Before Decentraland had their 3D environment deployed.
yeah,
And I think that was around, the year 2019, 2018, I don't remember exactly when it came live. So I knew that CryptoVoxels was already active, and I became involved with it. I became curious about it, and eventually just bought property there. because I felt like, okay, this is it's a nice place to have a club as well.
Hmm.
And there was a few other reasons why I did it, is because also it's easier to develop in CryptoVoxels. The way to build on land is quite interactive. You know, you log in and you can actually build right away, and it's different than, let's say, with Decentraland, where you actually have to develop your land um, remotely. You know, like you have to code it and preview it, and when it's ready, you deploy it. So it takes, there's more steps involved in deploying in Decentraland.
Okay. And what were you thinking, um, like when you were building these things? I mean, I guess you have a background or at least an interest in music due to your background because of your dancing, and I guess you always had a love for it. But what made you decide to, okay, I have this interest. This Web3 stuff is happening. Going into the metaverse, I'm interested. But you could have built anything, right? What
I
made
could
you
have
build?
built I could have built theoretically anything, but like you said, I've always been involved in performing arts, and music was a big part of that. And it just made sense to make a club. You know, I had heard of the clubbing culture in previous metaverses, because the metaverse is not new. We had Second Life, and even before that, we had kind of 3D environments existing before. And I heard that the clubbing scenes in those places, like a couple of years ago, was very hot. So it was like, okay, this is something I could do. I think it doesn't require a lot of, I don't need to be an engineer to create a club. I just need to make uh, a cool 3D environment, and brand it the way that I like, and then start to invite artists that are involved in the music scene or NFT music scene. So it was very accessible for me in
Right.
terms of an idea, and how to create it, and how to make it a reality.
Okay.
And so I chose for that. That was like my entry into Web3. You know, I could have built, I don't know, an exchange or whatsoever, an application, but since I'm not a coder and I'm not trained in that, it was um, very remote for me to implement. I would have had to hire a team to make this kind of thing. So for me, the club idea was very accessible,
Mhm.
and easy to start, let's say.
Okay. I've got a very serious question. Um, can you dance in Decentraland?
You mean like to put my real dance movements,
Uh,
or
just any sort of dance, because myself, I haven't been in Decentraland. I've only been in CryptoVoxels. So
yeah,
your avatar, can it dance? Like,
yeah. So
yeah.
we have like presets of dance emotes. You can press a key on your keyboard, and the avatar is going to start dancing for a couple of seconds, and then you have to spam the keyboard to keep on dancing. But now we have a code to go on auto dancing, so we can designate an area in the club.
Okay.
And so when you enter, you don't have to press the dance key. You can just start dancing automatically.
Okay.
But what we can also do is import avatars that have let's say, movement or dance that has been recorded in their amateur.
Hmm.
So you can kind of, let's say, download a dance that's available in Mixamo, which is a kind of archive of movement for avatars.
Right.
But you can also create your own movement if you have a mocap, like a motion capture suit. You can create your own movements, put them on an avatar, and upload them. This is also possible. And actually, this is something that I want to develop for the future.
Okay. So it gets quite detailed then.
You can really just customize the experience pretty heavily. It just depends on how far you want to go.
Right.
I mean, you can go pretty standard, and just use standard movements or standard dances that are available on by default, in Decentraland. But But actually, it's a very good point because there is a market for it. There's a market for dance, for choreography, for those types of media, which is not yet present. You have a lot of gamers communities. You have now electronic music going into the metaverse, but there is definitely a market for choreography and dance artists going into the metaverse and really just promoting their dance.
Right. So walk me through like a typical event of SugarClub. What's the night like?
So we have parties on Saturdays now. It's like a weekly thing.
Mhm.
So usually I curate an electronic artist. So the avatars come at a certain time. It's a regular time on Saturdays. We gather and start chatting, socializing. And then at some point we go live. So either we have the artists going live on Twitch or we broadcast them via OBS, and then we have a live show which lasts about an hour or so, and then after that people are free to stay. I put some mixes and some music. People usually stay, they socialize, they hop in and out of the club, and from there on it's more or less a kind of an after party. People can do whatever they want and I don't have to host it, or I can just be more relaxed about hosting the event. But an event is lasting about, I would say, 90 minutes
Okay. So there's
of
not
really
really go on.
curating an event of an hour to 90 minutes. 60 to 90 minutes is like the actual event, and after that becomes a little bit more loose, and then I don't have to or organize or anything. So it just kind of, it's an open space and people can come in and out of the club as they go, as they wish, and it's a pretty open environment.
Right. So
Yeah.
with the experience that you've had since 2019 doing this, and your evolution, and seeing everything that's going on, what do you think is the future of clubbing? Because I know we touched a bit on the pandemic and how much that's changed everything, and we're still not kind of back to normal with most things, right? But I've had a lot of experience with going out and being an artist in my background, and you yourself being a dancer. How do
Yeah.
you think this is going to affect us or the future, of clubbing in general?
I think the real clubbing will never stop. I mean, I don't think it's not about transitioning from real clubbing to virtual clubbing, but there's definitely a trend happening with those 3D environments where clubbing becomes an alternative to real clubbing. So, and I think it's going to keep on growing. We have in Decentraland alone, like the clubbing scene has grown a lot. Now we have clubs popping right and left. If you want a club, you can make a club. I mean, you need to buy land, and so there is costs associated with it, um, but you have big clubs. You have, for example, in the Vegas district, you have very big clubs, bigger venues than SugarClub, and those guys, because of the revenue of the casinos, it's serious money. I mean, they bring millions of dollars in revenue from the crypto, from the casino activities. So they have big partnerships, for example, with Ibiza, the real Ibiza,
Right.
because the big clubbing entities around the world are interested in jumping into the metaverse. They see the trend happening, and there is an audience for people going clubbing virtually and to hear the DJs virtually.
Okay.
So it's definitely a trend that is going to grow for sure.
So you
Yeah.
see emerging rather than like a split. You see them kind of coming together.
I think so, because like in terms of revenue, like you could imagine that a real life club has a certain amount of people they can have in a real physical club. But if you also in parallel have it virtually, you can potentially have, millions of clients, because if you have a big DJ playing at your club, you can have some serious, traffic on your website to see the live venue virtually.
Right. Right. Um, is there anywhere that people can find if they're looking for the event? Where can they find it? I'm gonna have everything linked out underneath, but where do they find announcements of where it's being held and what's going on?
So we're very active on Twitter. So Twitter is the place to check, when we post the events, and we have a Discord. So in the Discord community, we also put all the events ahead of time. And yeah, in terms of social media, I also have an Instagram account, but this is more to post, art related stuff, and I'm not always active on Instagram. But so mostly, Twitter and Discord for now.
Okay.
We still need to make a website. I didn't get around to do it, but it's in planning to have an actual website, for SugarClub.
Yeah, makes sense.
And actually, I know that you guys have been busy at Rare Candy with that, so probably I will ask you guys maybe some contacts, maybe some good web developers for good websites.
Of course, yeah, for sure. We can talk about it after the episode, but yeah, our new website should be coming. I don't want to say anything out of pocket, but hopefully, if everything goes right, sometime in March. I'm not sure when this episode will drop, but sometime in March, we're hoping for the new website with Web3 integration and the our own marketplace and whatnot.
Cool.
If you don't mind, I'd like to ask you some more specific questions about decentralization, blockchain, and NFTs.
Okay.
So what does decentralization mean to you?
Personally, I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I stumbled in the space in 2017. I've seen it grow in the last 3-4 years. The Ethereum ecosystem, and now the different kind of blockchains, the different blockchains that are kind of coming online, like Polkadot, and Solana and Avalanche, and all of these different chains. So I think it's a very interesting ecosystem. It's kind of growing rapidly, but it's also sometimes difficult to see what is the meaning of having all of these different blockchains. I think probably we will have a new internet. It looks like, this Web3 concept seems to be just a concept for people who are not involved in the space. But like, for example, for me, when I have to, create an event and then deploy it on Decentraland and transfer NFTs or create NFT tickets and things like this, then I have to interact with my MetaMask, and I have to interact with the blockchain constantly.
Mm-hmm.
So it becomes a part of my routine to have this, those tools. So yeah, I don't know how that fits with the concept of decentralization, because I'm not like I'm not a thinker in terms of what it means or what it should mean or where it's going to go. But I've seen a very nice critique of it. Like a week ago, there was a viral video of a guy who is outside of the space, who made a 1-hour critique of decentralization, NFTs, blockchain.
Mm-hmm.
And I listened to it. I was like, wow, it's interesting to listen to the critiques of the space and to not be a maximalist, because it's easy to become completely caught up in the bubble. But there's definitely issues with the current state of Web3, in terms of scaling, the technology, in terms of the gas consumption on Ethereum, also in terms of the energy consumption of blockchain, and so all of these different topics are very relevant. So I think I think the space is going to keep on growing, and we're going to see a lot of development. There's a lot of development power going into those technologies, and I think the concepts are going to change with that. I don't think that decentralization will mean the same thing in 5 years' time, or Web3 for that matter. I think it's going to change a lot, and but I don't know how. Like I'm not an engineer, so it's difficult for me to say it's going to look like this in 5 years' time. I don't know.
Right. That was actually
Try
going
to
to
keep
be.
up with try to keep up with it because it changes, on a weekly basis. There is some new things, like even in Decentraland, the SDK, like every 2 to 3 weeks there's a new version of it, and I need to adapt constantly to it. So it's just a lot of information actually to keep up with it and to stay relevant, because it moves so fast
Right.
that it's like I have to just focus on my project, because otherwise it's just too much information. I can't process it.
Yeah, I think we're in an era of, in general, there's way too much information, not just about Web3 and decentralization. Like, it's just everything's going at light speed now, and we kind of have to take a step back sometimes. And like you said, just focus on one thing at a time, one day at a time. You know, so with this kind of evolution and NFTs and decentralization taking a different shape over the years, how do you think the current the status quo, or the elite, if you will, how do you think they're going to come to terms with what's going on? Do you think they're going to try and come take advantage of it, of merging with it, of pushing it away? What are your thoughts?
When you say the elite, you mean like governments, or like powerful rich people, or what?
That's why I did the quotes. It's more kind of
Yeah,
like a joke, but in serious terms, I mean like monopolies, right? So I mean like big corporations that currently run things and are in charge of things that we have, or have at least little power to no power.
yeah.
How do you think they're gonna, deal with what's going on?
I think they're already in. Like in terms of uh, yeah, like in terms of, for example, the fashion industry and the music industry, like these two industries, it's very clear that they are very interested, and they already are investing heavily into buying virtual land, into launching their NFT collections as a virtual asset,
Mm.
um, for digital brands, and for the big record labels. It's a very interesting space for them to make more money, right? So they see the market, and I think it's inevitable, that the early communities of NFTs are going to be engulfed and taken over by corporations, because you can't compete with millions of capital. But the good news is that, and that's, I think, connecting to the decentralization, is that the space is big enough, and the technology allows for small users and content creators to also participate. So you don't need to be excluded. There you can still enter the space and create content. You can create NFTs. It's going to be more and more difficult to market yourself, because you're going to compete, with huge marketing campaigns that have a lot more capital than you.
Right.
But you can still participate. You can still create your niche community and your events and so on. So I think all of those things are going to run in parallel, and we saw, like in Decentraland, you have Samsung, you have you have big name Atari, and gaming companies, fashion companies, and just regular companies that are just interested in having their name in the metaverse.
Right. What excites you about the technology and the potential that it has?
About the technology, well,
Yeah.
the fact that I can create a virtual club, this is mind blowing for me. Like, even for me, that I created SugarClub, and every time we have an event and I see that it's going live, and it's working. It just blows my mind. So it's pretty cool because I don't have a lot of overhead costs. Like, can you imagine the costs of running a real club? Having a physical location, printing real flyers or whatsoever, or it's having all the gear to set up the artists, all of the sound engineering side. I don't have to deal with all of the physical aspect. I can just deal purely with the digital aspect of it. So it's a completely different business model in a way. Like there's um, it's just not the same in terms of costs. There is definitely costs involved with running the club. It's mostly connected with paying the coder, the coder for the interactivity, and for people wanting to buy land. The land is very expensive now in Decentraland. So if you actually want to get involved, you need certain amount of capital, to buy land. It's not cheap anymore.
Right.
So, but luckily, so the story with SugarClub is because I was involved since the beginning, and I was involved in the hackathons, the first hackathons. The team leased the land for me for free indefinitely, so I can just use the plot of land without having to pay anything. So for me, this is great because I don't have rental costs, virtual rental costs. I can just deploy the club for free, and I only need to pay for coding, and if I want special features, I have to kind of hire somebody to do it. But that's pretty much it. And also the cost of running subscriptions for software, 3D software.
Right. And what's the currency in Decentraland? Do they have their own social token, or how does it work?
Yeah, we have Mana.
Right.
So it's an ERC20 token on the Ethereum blockchain.
Okay.
And it now runs also on Polygon for the gas fees. So you can actually transact and trade NFTs in a cheaper way because you don't have to pay the gas fees. So yeah, Mana is the main currency.
Okay. And if a user comes, right, not somebody who wants to buy land or make a business in Decentraland, if they're just coming for fun and they're coming to your night, is there an exchange of currency anywhere? Are they spending money somewhere?
You mean at the club itself?
Yeah.
So if they come at the club, you can, on Saturdays, the events are for free. So you can just come in and listen to the DJ playing and have a good time. And if you want to go VIP, then you can buy some wearables that we have at the wearable shop, which is at the entrance of the club.
Right.
Kind of a gallery space with NFT projects. And then you have a wearable store. So if you want to support the club, you can buy a VIP wearable. And then this wearable will give you access into the upper closed areas of the club.
Okay.
And those areas are pretty cool. I mean, I spend a lot of time also developing that VIP section of the club. So you have a lot more space. You have other music streams. And the plan is also to do exclusive VIP parties. Once the VIP community grows enough to have, VIP parties, I'm going to start making exclusive VIP parties. So then
Right.
those will be gated parties where if you want to enter, you need to have a VIP NFT, basically.
Okay. And I don't want to give too much away, but I believe we're going to have some sort of collaborative event in one of these areas, right?
Yeah, well, next month, right?
Yep. Yep. So and these are going to be the costumes that you have for sale. They're in the form of NFTs, you said, right?
Yeah, they're NFT. So the wearable market is an kind of NFT token that you can trade in the marketplace, but it also represents an actual 3D digital wearable that you can wear in the world, which is pretty cool because it gives utility to the NFT instead of just being, a lot of criticism with NFTs, especially the art NFTs, is like, yeah, you're just buying a JPEG, so what's the utility in that?
Right.
What I really like about the digital fashion and the wearables is that you're actually creating NFTs that have a utility in the metaverse. You're creating fashion that people can wear, that is used, and it's also a way to promote your brand. So I like a lot this way of using the utility, the NFT technology for fashion. I really like this application actually.
And are these different to, because I know you have other NFTs in marketplaces that I've checked. Um, I haven't seen the wearables on those marketplaces. Are those specifically only in your clubs in Decentraland? The
Yeah,
wearables, right? So the ones
exactly.
that I've seen in the marketplace are more kind of the artistic, artsy kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, you can find everything on big marketplaces like OpenSea. So OpenSea is like a kind of a huge platform where all different types of NFT collections are listed. So if you can actually type in Decentraland wearables, you will find the marketplace there. But
Okay,
the marketplace is also synced, or it's the same marketplace on the Decentraland website, and there you have access to the same market. But if you use the Decentraland website, it's just a little bit easier to navigate, I would say.
okay.
Yeah. Oh,
And
and also a good thing about it is that you can send and NFTs, and the transactions are for free. So
oh,
Decentraland
nice.
is actually paying for the transaction fees, which is pretty cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's very important. I think we've all seen the gas fees the past few months.
Yes.
So I think that that's a very good deal.
Mhm.
Um, just to kind of finish off, maybe we talk a little bit about your future aspirations, what you're thinking, the next steps for Sugar Club, where you want to take it.
So I think we already kind of mentioned it, because of my background in dance and performance. I really want to keep on researching and developing how I can bring this into the metaverse in forms of art NFTs. So really making customized artistic 3D renders of physical movements,
Right,
and kind of bring them into the events, to have them also as avatars, and display this kind of movements in the club as a kind of specific dance events, let's say. And then another thing is really the digital fashion. I'm really excited about exploring this area of the in the NFT space, and also in really in close uh, aesthetics with the SugarClub, and what the idea of SugarClub, and the brand of SugarClub. So how to create basically a fashion brand with SugarClub. That would be like an aspiration of really planting my digital foot into the digital fashion space, with the SugarClub kind of leading the way, like this. We're going to have a lot of different fashion brands and fashion projects coming.
right.
I think this is going to be super exciting, but I would really like for SugarClub to definitely be a big part of this.
It sounds amazing, and best of luck to you with that.
Thank you.
Before we finish up, maybe give you some time. I don't know if you have anything to plug or anything you want to announce, or anything you want to
I think
link to.
it's nice to say that we're going to do something right in March. I think it's going to also interestingly coincide with the Fashion Week, Digital Fashion Week in Decentraland. We're going to have a week full of digital fashion events across the metaverse. So SugarClub will also probably make specific events around these ideas. So, and I think it will coincide with what we're going to do with you guys. So we
Right.
can talk about this definitely, to first of all to launch maybe a wearable specific collaboration with SugarClub and Rare Candy, and then to have a cool party, with you guys. I think it's going to be nice.
Yeah, and we're all so excited for that and for the wearables. I don't want to give too much away, but I think what you said will be enough to get people interested. That's it for me. I just want to thank you for taking the time to be here. It means a lot to us. And looking forward to our collaboration. Thank you so much.
Nice.
And thank
Thanks
you
for
guys
having me.
listening. No problem. I'm going to have actually all your links below, your Discord and Twitter and everything. And for us, if you guys want to stay educated with all things NFTs and crypto, you can follow us on Discord. You can follow us on Instagram at RareCandy3D. Thank you so much, everyone. Take care.
Ciao.